Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video, and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video, and if I did comment to you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please drop that same question again and it'll get moved to the top. And even then, it's not a guaranteed, so just please keep putting your question down below with repeat question, and I promise I'll get to you. But before we get started, we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Collectr. This app is the best of the best when it comes to tracking your collection. No other app even compares. I've actually tried all the other apps, and it's not even close. But these guys are always trying to improve by adding new cards, boxes, and features, and they also have over 25 different TCGs. They just added 2 brand new features where you can now search by artist name, and it'll show you all the cards by that artist. And you have new filters where you could do card only and type in like Charizard or Mewtwo, and it'll show you all of your Charizard and Mewtwo cards. So yeah, let us know down below if there's anything they need to fix or work on, and it'll get going on that ASAP. They also do more giveaways than anyone in the hobby. So definitely check them out. I'll have all the links in the description. And also I'll be vending in Columbus, Ohio this Saturday at their big XL show at the State Fairgrounds. Coop will also be there. I think he is just doing a meet and greet, but I will actually be vending. I'm going to have multiple tables. I'm bringing a ton of life-size statues and a ton of cards. So definitely swing by if you guys are in the area. It's going to be a ton of fun. And then also, if you guys are going to grade through PSA and you guys want to get a completely free PSA submission, you can click my link in the description, use the code BEARD25 and receive $25 off. So definitely check that out. All right, first question is from a member at Andy Farm. Redbeard from the Great White North. First, I look forward to seeing you in Indiana at Pokeblues in December. I'll be vending in Indianapolis, I think December 14th or 15th. That show's going to be also crazy. Beard Dad is also vending, Jar Chomp. It's going to be nuts. But he asked, since the market is still at a high right now, and we would all expect some booster boxes like Surging Sparks to get reprinted in excess at some point, would selling a sealed case from release, paid $650 now, with the intent to buy back in a year or two if they drop around 1,000, be a good idea right now? Do we think it'll get back into 3 figures for a case? Thanks. So that is definitely the toughest question in all of Pokemon right now. This is what everybody is wondering, and to be honest, no one really knows because this market is so unpredictable. No one knows how long it's going to take for this stuff to come down in price, or if it will ever come down in price. You know, the market's just so crazy right now, and I know a lot of stuff is coming down, but that's normal. This is a perfect market correction. Everything was just so expensive. I mean, when we have brand new booster boxes at $300-400, we've never had that before, like ever. So we're in uncharted territories right now, which is why the market is so hard to predict. Now, if we're talking a Surging Sparks booster box case you got for $650. Right now, they're selling for about $1,900. That is a decent chunk of profit. And it is a good time to sell when everything is at its all-time high. This is the thing that I'm worst at, is selling, because I just want to keep everything. I'm basically a hoarder. I also think it really depends on your financial situation. You know, if you need this money, this could be some life-changing money for some people. I mean, some people could get their car fixed. You know, they could do some crazy stuff with this money. Or, you know, if you need the money to reinvest into other stuff too, it's not a bad idea. But just know, a lot of times when people sell at all-time highs, and then when it gets really cheap, they kind of get scared and they don't want to buy it again once it's cheap for some reason. I've seen it so much when everybody's like, ooh, when the whole market crashes, I'm going to be buying everything constantly, and then they're nowhere to be found because Pokemon isn't popular anymore. So you got to really think about that too. Like for myself, I would just be happy that I got a Surging Sparks booster box case at $650, and I'd hold on to that forever. But again, it's going to be different for every single person. But if I had to guess if a Surging Sparks booster box case would ever get down to $1,000, I mean, from $1,900 to $1,000, that's quite the drop. And Surging Sparks just became a year old now, so it's getting up there. I know we could still technically have reprint windows for like the next 2 years, but you got to think there's so many different sets coming out. They can't just reprint everything to the max. It's basically impossible. And that's another thing too. When people want to buy it back when it gets cheaper, we're going to have 7 brand new sets that you might want to put your money into instead of Surging Sparks. So you got to keep that in mind. But if I had to put a percentage guess on this box, you know, the booster box case going from $1,800 down to $1,000, I mean, maybe like a 20% chance, because that's quite the drop. But like I said, it is smart to take profits. Just know when you take profits in sealed Pokemon products, there's a good chance 5-10 years down the road, you're going to be kicking yourself when you see those booster box case prices. Now, I've personally done that many, many times where I'm like, man, I wish I would not have sold that box or traded that box or whatever it is, which is one of the main reasons why I don't sell any of my stuff anymore. But yeah, like I said, though, it is a great time to take profits. I mean, when Pokemon is at an all-time high, it's kind of a no-brainer. But yeah, let me know down below if you guys think the 13 Sparks booster box case will ever get below $1,000. Maybe give me a percentage guess, kind of like I did. But all right, next question is from @TrueMal. Hey, Beard, do you think the PSA 10 Lovebirds will go down at all? So it is technically going down in price right now. So it got up to $10,966 and last sold $7,900. And this was on the 10th, so literally 2 days ago. And a sale before that at $78. And then all the sales before that were at $84, $82, and $87. I'm not sure how much this card will drop, but since everything is coming down in price right now, definitely keep your eye on it. I have a feeling it'll drop a little bit more. You know, a lot of these big cards, they just get so expensive that it's pretty normal for them to drop, honestly, a couple $1,000s, especially when we're talking PSA 10s, because cards like this always go up and down. Even though it's the most popular card, you know, it's going to go up and down. Like right here, you know, it's $1,200, got up to $3K, back down to $1,350, back up to $24, down to $2K, you know, up to $53, back down to $48. Like, it's just always going up and down, up and down. But all right, next question is from @Cherno1989. Hey, Beard, is the EV Sword and Shield promo 212 a good investment? Only pop 5 in a PSA 10. So when we're looking at cards like this, the pops don't matter a ton because this just isn't a very popular card that, you know, very many people grade. So when it's not a popular card and it has a low pop, it doesn't mean a ton. I think it is a pretty cute EV card. We have sales for like $3 to $5 on eBay. But, you know, if you really like one of these promo cards and you have a gut feeling, I always say go for it and get a few copies, especially when we're just talking a couple dollars. But I can't see this EV going crazy. So when I'm looking at a card like this, I really like to look at it and see if there is anything special about it. And we have quite a few EV cards very similar to this. But it is cute for sure. Next is from @TYKU121. Full art battle. Lugia GX, Sun and Moon, or Lugia EX, X and Y. I really enjoyed this question. This is fun. I'd even be down to do this every week. So we got the Lugia GX from Lost Thunder. Very cool card. We got the silver background right there. Pretty epic pose. Now here is the XY Ancient Origins Full Art Lugia. He didn't put the numbers, but I'm pretty sure this is what he's talking about. So let me know down below which one you guys like better. We got the GX or the EX. Now, I added a third Lugia for fun because I think this is the best full art, and that is the Full Art Lugia EX Plasma from Plasma Storm. This card is crazy, so this is my favorite of the three, but if we're just talking these two, I kind of like the Sun and Moon one better. I just like his pose a lot more. Just seems a little bit more epic. And I kind of like the silver background. I feel like it's kind of unique. But yeah, let me know down below what you guys think. Next is from ARIZONATCG 8605. I apologize if I butchered that name. His question is, can we review Reshiram XY74 promo? Yes, we can. I love this card. So I talked about these cards a ton, probably a year ago when they were all, you know, $5, $10, $15. In my opinion, these are the first ever illustration rares. If you guys go check out the X and Y promos, there's a ton of these. They're absolutely beautiful. They don't have texture, but the card is crazy. Like a year ago, this was $10.77. And I have a ton of videos on these cards. I kept putting them on my Sleeper Sundays and everything. Now last sold 40, 43, 43, 35. I still feel like they're pretty affordable. If you wanted to go get the box that these cards come in, they're so expensive. So I am still a very big fan of all these, and these are some of the toughest modern cards to grade. I mean, I couldn't even find a PSA 10 sale for this card. I think the pop said it was like 10 or 12 or something like that. So definitely look up all these XY promos. I think they're awesome cards. Next is from @Lulu Colby. Question, are band art promos like Misty's Tears a good buy for long term? Absolutely. I was actually going to put these on one of my Sleeper Sundays very soon because I feel like no one ever talks about them. There's not that many. It's not that tough to collect. And a lot of them are very affordable. We got the Moo Moo Milk sold for $20. We got the Sabrina's Gaze sold for $20. And if you guys do not know what we're talking about, there's a handful of cards that actually got banned in Japanese and they got switched for English. Like this Moo Moo Milk one here is literally sucking on like the udder and stuff. And then Sabrina's Gaze looks like she's kind of flicking you off. Misty's Tears, it looks like she's naked or she is naked. We got another one right here, the arcade game. You know, it's got slot machines, so that was banned for English. We didn't want, you know, slot machines in the kids' card game. We got another slot machine one, Moo Moo Milk. Even the Sabrina's Gengar, there's actually tombstones in the background of the Japanese version. The English version there is not. So that's one of my favorite banned cards. But yeah, the Misty's Tears is definitely one of the more popular ones. But as you can see, she is like legit naked. But like I said, there's not that many of them. It's kind of a cool little collection. It's history, if you really think about it, some banned cards. So I think this is a fun little cool collection you guys could collect. And honestly, not that expensive for being that old and pretty much the only banned cards. Next is from @GlebDitto. Hey Beard, the most feared content creator of the Pokesphere. What do you think of the Spirit Link trainer cards from X and Y? We are in the Mega era again, and I looked up a reverse holo Spirit Link Gengar and was appalled at how expensive a near mint copy is. Think people will remember these and grab them up? So I'm also a big fan of Spirit Link cards. There's a ton of these. These are some of my favorite trainers. This would also be a pretty fun set to complete. And I mean, Gengar is $13. Now there is like reverse holos and they can get a little expensive, but just look at these. So these are Spirit Link trainers cards. We got a Mega Gengar here. We got the Garchomp, Mawile, Salamence, like just crazy stuff. Beedrill, Camerupt, you know, all these mega versions. Got the Charizard Spirit Link. Rayquaza, got the Mewtwo's, Gardevoir, got the Mega Gyarados, Alakazam. I mean, it's super, super cool. So I think this would be an awesome little set to complete also. But I think there's a chance these could pop off in the future, especially some of them, you know, like the Mega Gengar and, you know, the Charizard and Lucario and stuff. So you could maybe stick with the more popular ones. But I think this would look so cool in a binder. I think I have about half of these. So I think I might complete this set, because I think that would look very nice. How many are there? So we got 5, 10, 15, 20, 24 of them. So yeah, I think that would look super cool in a binder. Next is from Curio Collect. Hey Tucker, I've been checking out some stamp promos like the Pokemon Day 2024 stamp Sewer Ledge and the GameStop EB Game stamps, Xerneas, etc. What's your opinion on buying them sealed versus raw? Do you think sealed promos will carry any worthwhile premium? So yeah, actually sealed promos, you do get a little bit more money for them. And to be honest, I feel like they sell a lot better. People just think they're mintier and stuff, and they have a better chance of getting a 10. So every time I have sealed promos compared to raw ones, the sealed ones always sell first. So if you can, try to keep them sealed. Just make sure if you are keeping these all sealed, like get a nice tin or something and set them in there and try not to move them around a ton. Because I feel like that's a lot of people's problems is when they keep them sealed, they don't have a good spot for them and they get dinged up and stuff. Or they try to like cram them into binders and stuff. But I have a really nice tin. Well, I have a bunch of tins that has all my sealed promos in there. So next is from another member @Kyle of White. Hello again, sir. Just a basic comparison question for me. Amazing rare pop report comparisons, English versus Japanese, particularly Vivid Voltage versus Legendary Heartbeat. The pop reports are so astronomically different. Are the Japanese cards slept on? And in my opinion, they're a lot more beautiful. So I also agree the Japanese amazing rares look beautiful. The texture's crazy on them. And they do have a lot lower pop reports. The amazing rares for English are actually very easy to grade, and they were very popular when they came out, so there is actually a ton of them graded. I do think some of the amazing rares are slept on, and we got a big spike in them. I mean, Rayquaza was pretty expensive for a little bit when he was always a $5 card and, you know, jumped to almost a $20 card or whatever it is. But yeah, I think they are super affordable. I think the Celebi in Japanese sells for like $40 or something in a PSA 10 with that low of a pop. And they're nice looking cards, so wouldn't be that risky to pick up a few of them. Next is from Brandon Pla. Hey, Mr. Beard, what are your thoughts on this trade? I know this is way too early to know exactly, but would this be a good trade in your opinion considering how hard it is to pull both of these cards? PSA 10 Gold Mega Gardevoir for the PSA 10 Rayquaza VMAX Altart from Evolving Skies. That is a tough one. I personally like the Rayquaza a lot more. I also feel like the majority of the hobby would agree with that take, just because the art is much better. But, you know, we do have a little hype with some of these new gold cards, and they are really tough to pull. But I'm definitely sticking with the Rayquaza VMAX. Next is from @NP4563. Mr. Beard, this is a vending question where I've noticed as a fairly new vendor has happened more than one occasion at different shows. What is the best case of action when other vendors that come up to your table? I've had hagglers that offered to buy a number of singles severely less to the set sticker and marker price, and I don't mind going down for a good deal for them to still have them make profit, 85 to 90% down to the nearest 10. But when they're looking for 70% when they approach my table seems very off. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. I've had a lot of vendors do that to me also. I usually just say no. If anything, I'll sell at 90% to some other vendors because honestly, they're just taking my stock and filling it up their stock. And it takes a lot of work to find some of these cards and get good deals or boxes or whatever it is. So I'm not the biggest fan. The only time I'm ever going to give really good deals is if it's a card or box that I've had for a long time and just won't sell. That's when you can give, maybe 75, 80% or 85%. But to be honest, I'll just stick at 90%. And also I'll try to remember the people that do this because you should be able to go to their table also and offer 90% when you just need some cards to fill up your case or maybe a couple boxes to fill up your shelf. But I know a lot of vendors that do that. They won't buy any collections or any lots, in between card shows. And then the morning of the card show, they'll walk around and clear out a ton of vendors just so they have some of the most stock during the day. And they usually try to pick the most popular cards that sell the fastest. So especially if it's your hottest cards, like 151 or anything like that, definitely, stay firm on those. Next is from another member at Clayman IFCC, Majestic Face Mane of Abundant Knowledge. That is hilarious. Should I trade my Gold Lucario for a sealed Destined Rivals booster box? The card is clean, but would only grade a 9 due to centering. So I feel like I would do that, especially long term. I think you're going to be a little bit happier with that. And I could definitely see some of these gold cards coming down in price a little bit, especially when we get a lot more of them on the market, because they're tough to pull. And it's still a new set, so there's not a ton of them out there. And if you actually go look at the data, they're not selling a ton, especially compared to some of the more popular special illustration rares. So I think that'd be a pretty solid trade. Just make sure you're getting a really minty Destined Rivals booster box. Next is from at Michigan Fanatic. Are any of the top loader binders good? Been looking to buy a few, but I don't want to have the binder damage the cards. Yeah, most top loader binders are very solid. Just try to stay away from like the big ones, like the 12 pocket ones. They are massive and they are so annoying to carry around if you're going to card shows. I would stick to, a 9 or maybe even a 4. And to be honest, I like the 4 a little bit better. Put your super high-end cards in there, and then for the rest of your cards, you don't need a top-loader binder, to be honest. You can just use a regular binder. I think some top-loader binders, for some of the cards people are putting in there, are definitely a little overkill. And like I said, they're heavy, and they're very annoying to move around at card shows. Next is from at the Pokemon Hub. Hello, Mr. Beard. I have 2 quick questions for you. What is your favorite era of the Pokemon TV series, and who do you have winning between JDM and Makachev? So, of course, the original series is going to be the most nostalgic to me because that's what I first watched as a kid and that's what I remember the most. But I think one of the funnest series to watch was the Sun and Moon series. That got absolutely epic. And if you guys have not seen that, definitely check that out. And I have a feeling Makachev is going to win. He's not my favorite, but I have a feeling he's going to win. That is a UFC question if you guys did not know. Next is from at Jeff Mac 79. Hey, Beard, looking to trade a Surging Sparks Pokemon Center ETB, Crown Zenith ETB, Japanese 151 booster box, and a Silver Tempest booster box for a Fusion Strike booster box. All 4 items I'm trading, I paid MSRP. I paid $70 for the Japanese 151 booster box. Would you make this trade? Now, I personally probably would not make this trade. I still think sets like Silver Tempest, the sets with the trainer galleries, are better than like Fusion Strike. I know Fusion Strike has a couple more chases with the Espeon and the Gengar. But to be honest, like the Lugia from Silver Tempest beats the Espeon value-wise, and then they got the Gengar. But then after that, you got your Mew VMAX and your Mew V, and then there's not a ton else in that set when we're talking an entire trainer gallery for Silver Tempest. But I like having the more different products. You have a lot more options. You never know what's going to take off. So I personally would probably keep the 4 items and skip out on the Fusion Strike booster box, especially having a nice Pokemon Center ETB, Crown Zenith. You got a very good variety there to where, I don't think I would make that trade. Next is from at Mark Wiener. Hey, Beardstein, one thing that is in the back of my mind in the threat of fake cards and their impact on the market. Do you think it is possible that fake cards will eventually get so prevalent and hard to differentiate that it will diminish consumer confidence in the product? So I think it's definitely possible a little bit, but I generally feel like most people that come to the hobby, they're not even worrying about fake cards or thinking about fake cards because there's just so much other stuff to worry about in Pokemon, and there's so many different cards and sets that they're so overwhelmed that fake cards are probably the last thing on their mind, which is why a lot of people do buy fake cards when they first start out, especially buying stuff on eBay. So, just try to get stuff from legit sellers is your best chance. But yeah, I hate how good some of the fakes are getting. And honestly, it's just going to get better and better. Like the new Chinese booster boxes that are all faked, they look really good. Like it's almost impossible to tell the difference between a real one and a fake one. But to be honest, I'm not super worried to where I think you know, everyone in the hobby will just stop buying because there's so many fakes, because we know where we can get legit stuff from. But definitely some of the newer people will probably be scared to buy some stuff. All right, next is from Ella BRVSA. Hey Beard, with the upcoming sets rumored to feature Kyogre and Groudon, do you think it's smart to start picking up cards of those Pokemon now? And if so, would you lean more towards raw singles or graded copies for long-term potential? I recently grabbed a Primal Groudon EX97 PSA 9 for a solid deal, and I'm debating whether to pick up the Primal Kyogre 96 and a PSA 9 to complete the pair, thinking there might be some hype around them soon. Yeah, I could definitely see some hype happening, especially I just did their video not too long ago on Throwback Thursday. They don't have a lot of cards at all. Like, honestly, Kyogre and Groudon do not get a lot of love. I'm still waiting for a Kyogre illustration rare to go with the Groudon illustration rare, but still haven't gotten that. Yeah, I definitely feel like it'd be smart to pick up a couple copies here, and then it really depends on how much money you have, because graded cards, you know, they're so much more expensive to where you might only be able to pick up a couple graded cards versus a ton of raw cards. So if you can afford both, maybe pick up a couple nice graded cards and then pick up some raw cards. Next is from Simple Random Stuff. As a veteran in the Pokemon hobby, to the best of your knowledge, is Pokemon printing a massive amount of cards compared to the past few eras? With myself being in the hobby about 5 years now, it seems like Pokemon is printing cards like never before. What's your thoughts on this topic? So they definitely are. I think they printed, more cards in the last couple of years than they did in the first 25 years or something crazy like that. But then again, Pokemon's never been this popular. We've never had millions and millions and millions of people collecting Pokemon. And as you can see, the printing can't really keep up with demand right now. But yeah, it is crazy how much they are printing. Which is why a ton of content creators will go out and say, this stuff will never be rare, it'll never be valuable. There were so many people telling me that in the Sword and Shield era, because we were also getting massive reprints. Booster boxes were literally $110, $120 during a big hyped time. And so many people told me this stuff will never go up in price. There's literally a Reddit post from when I first started my channel about me and Crown Zenith, how I loved Crown Zenith, how I thought it was going to go up in price and do great. And, half the people on Reddit agreed, half the people disagreed because they're like, oh, it was so overprinted, it'll never go up in price. Crown Zenith is one of the best performing ETBs, one of the best performing Pokemon Center ETBs in the Sword and Shield era. I genuinely feel like Pokemon knows what they're doing. Like, they don't want to have sets just sit on shelves for 4 years straight. That already happened with the XY Evolutions. They learned their lesson with that. That took forever. They were putting XY Evolution packs in every single collection box for 4 years. It was crazy. Yeah, this is one of the reasons too why I've always said on my channel from when I first started was to always try to buy at the bottom. Always try to time it the best you can, because it's just safer. The least amount of money you spend, the safer it is. So, if this stuff is way overprinted and demand completely dies off, at least you didn't overpay a ton of stuff and you're not going to lose a ton of money. Because the cheapest a booster box has ever been in Pokemon history is $65. And that was a long time ago. So as long as you're getting your stuff for good deals, you don't really have to worry that much. And last question is from Machine Man. If they decided to bring back Gold Star cards, what are some Pokemon from the newer generation do you think would be worthy of a Gold Star? So first of all, I'm going to mention a couple older Pokemon. Blastoise and Venusaur deserve a Gold Star. It's always made me so upset that they never got one. And I think they definitely deserve it. If we're talking newer Pokemon, if we're talking maybe Generation 8, Generation 9 type stuff, Dragapult, Toxtricity, Ceruledge, Chien-Pao, I think these are some of the more cooler Pokemon in these newer generations. But I really hope they give some of the mid-era Pokemon some Gold Stars and stuff. I think Lucario deserves a Gold Star. Also Gardevoir, Arceus. There's so many awesome Pokemon that I would love to see get the Gold Star treatment. I would not mind if they brought Gold Stars back, to be honest. I love Gold Stars. I don't care what anybody says. And I think it would just bring a little bit more popularity to the other Gold Stars that we already have. But all right, I almost forgot. We have to do the question of the day. So for today's question, what is the worst starter Pokemon we have ever gotten in Pokemon history? And I'm talking the final evolution. Let me know down below. But all right, that was today's Pokemon What If Wednesday. If you guys like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, or my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. You guys can also check out that PSA link or our merch. We got the binder bound t-shirts, which is only going to be available for a limited time. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. And if you guys want to watch my last Pokemon Market Monday, which was a super good one, we talk about the new Mega Gengar card. We even have a couple pre-sales for it. Click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.